All right, big hey now to everybody out there. And welcome to a Monday. If I get my technicals under control. Wow, let's see. And add this back. All right. I'm working with a blank screen on my end. Let's see. Let's see. It's always a pain in the ass, this stuff. Okay, so I can see it. It's up on the old. See it up on YouTube. You guys are seeing a screen. I'll see a black screen, but that's okay. I'll pretend that it's actually showing. There we go. For me, it is. All right, friends. All right. So just a quick update. Looking at the T-share rate. What's going on, HEX? T-share rates have not changed to go up. I'm waiting for a rather large change. I think after taking a look at the addresses, I realized that's probably Godwill. A Godwill stake that has not been cleared yet. Actually, this might be several of them. So we'll have to wait and see. The longer it takes, the better the T-share rate low in terms of lower for the rest of us. So as that goes along. I see Spider out here, or is Red Squirrel, BTFD, all the regulars. Look at that. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on. So I'm going to focus today mostly on yields. Let's go take a look at prices. All right. I may have to, I'm not seeing the change. Oh, there it is. It changed on the screen. Got it. Okay, just taking a look at prices. The HEX pulse chain price 0.003847. A little bit of volume coming through here. Nothing that's overly significant. Pretty normal in terms of volume. Looking on the day chart, come back down to this. Just testing this kind of level, this low bottom over here. Not really TA, just looking at the chart and the numbers. So let's look at the HEX. HEX had a little pop yesterday, again on the daily scale. Had a nice little pop up. What did that end up being percentage-wise? Something around 15%, at least according to Expander. So, just normal type of activity at the moment. Again, nothing really over the top in terms of volume or anything of that sort. And let's do this. I'm going to switch my sharing. Let's get over to look at our APYs for today. Give this a moment to load up, guys. And here we go. All right. Okay. So taking a look at the different APYs that are available for HEX. HEX is a pretty robust little system here. What's available, the number of products that have been built. I thought it'd be worth on this Monday taking a look at what we got going on. And so if we take a look at this, we'll start out with, all right, HEX staking and estimated yields. So why is this important to me? It's important to me because I want to know what staking Quattro Cinco, either natively or with an HSI, will provide. And so both chains, they're relatively similar. Ethereum's paying 4.5% to 5%. Pulse chain 4 to 5%. You get a little bit of a tick up on the Ethereum side in terms of APY, but it's a different market. And you guys, of course, DeFi, you get to decide which chain you want to participate in. If you want to participate, if you don't want to participate, you get to do all that stuff, right? 1 day ROI is, of course, really, really low at 1.491%. APY, which is a very tiny ROI, probably not even worth the gas most of the time. And that's on the Ethereum side. On the Pulse chain side, it's 1.331. But let's look at 1 year. 1 year on Ethereum, ROI and APY 1.789. And 1 year on the Pulse chain, 1.597. So while certainly there's still the strategy of doing native stakes and building a ladder, longer pays better. And so it's a big difference in terms of APY, but it does give you the flexibility if you'd like to only stake for a short period of time. Okay, so here are our Pulse chain numbers and our Ethereum numbers for staking. All right, let's go take a look at actuator.finance. I've been streaming about this in the bond market for quite a while. All right, so what's the upside here? Well, these are HTTs. HTTs are backed by HEX, they're future HEX. And so they show something on their site called fixed APR, right? So what does that mean? Well, if I chose to swap into any of these tokens directly with either my HEX or something else, I would know how many years I have left, and I know what the current price in HEX is. And so then I can easily determine what my ROI in HEX terms would be. Because remember, even our APYs that I showed you on the stakes, I mean, that's determined by HEX. It has nothing to do with USD value. It's a separate issue, price appreciation. And so simply swapping liquid HEX into an HTT 3000 gives you a fixed APR of 13.78%. Next up is swapping into the HTT 5000, gives you a 7.48%, 4000, 6.53%, and so on and so forth. And you can see the total returns here and expiration dates. Now, listen, this isn't for everybody. If you're not interested in this, it's fine. I'm just showing you what's happening in the ecosystem, as far as what's available. Now, people who swap into like the HTT 3000, total return would be 30%-ish over 2.2 years in terms of HEX. And so, yeah, when you compare that to native staking, you could see why some people might be interested in that, right? I might be interested in that instead of a few percentages, a lot higher percent. All right. And the fixed part of this is because it's all in HEX terms, right? So you know exactly what you're going to get. If you hold for 2.2 years, you can redeem for 1 HEX. So if you're paying a discount, you're going to get more, right? And so you're able to do this calculation. Of course, they do it on the site for you. Let's move on down to Plusx and the LPX pools. So just to make it easier to show everybody on the screen, I pulled these up. They have several pools over there. And the LPX pools, you have to put a certain amount of HEX and a certain amount of DAI, or whichever the anchor token is. So you have the funding token on the left, the anchor token on the right. You have to put those in the correct ratio, but their HEX DAI pool has been running 23.6%. Their EHEX DAI pool, 27.8%. EHEX HEX pool, 24.8%. And then the HEX EHEX, 32.8%. So some people might wonder, why is there 2 of these? Why does it say EHEX HEX and HEX EHEX? It has to do with which one you're more interested in accumulating. If you're interested in accumulating and earning off of HEX, you would do HEX DAI or HEX EHEX. If you're more interested in accumulating EHEX, you would do EHEX DAI or EHEX HEX. And of course, there's a lot more details in the background, but these have been paying fairly well in terms of percentages. Early this year, the LPX is launched, and I believe most people, if not all people, are in permanent gains now on their tokens, as well as have been earning yields. So that's been going on. Of course, you got to do your own research. Go check this stuff out. We just give you a lay of the land of the different types of APYs that are available out there. All right, I see in the chat somebody was just mentioning DESI. Let me see, where is my screen? I'm down here. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, BTFD was talking about DESI. The thing I'd be careful with, not just with DESI, with any types of activities. Just remember, if things don't look right, stop, think, act, review. Some of the pools are kind of thin, like the Maxi pool with HEX went down quite a bit. Recently, I don't know what the total dollar value is, but dropped below $1,000 on that specific pool. Doesn't mean that there's not liquidity available. There is, as other people have pointed out, there's liquidity on both Tide potentially and over PHEX, but it doesn't necessarily show up on Dex Screener when you go look, but you can see it through the aggregator. So if you are doing swapping, you always have to be really careful. It's DeFi. And so it's your responsibility to make sure you're getting what you expect. And if you see something that doesn't look right, stop. Right? Don't move forward with something that you're not sure about. I guess not financial advice, but kind of makes sense, right? If you're not sure about it, don't do it. So taking a look at what we call packaged products, which are similar to packaged products and the stock market, kind of relating it to the idea that HEX is cash and HTTs are bonds, stakes are a form of bonds. The packaged products are Maxi and DESI at the moment. You have other things out there too, like your Steakhouse is out there. You have some other protocols. I'll try to incorporate as many as I can in my information over time. It really comes down to what people request. A lot of, they're not asking for it. I don't usually add a bunch of things, or for some reason I haven't come across it. But when we look at the packaged products now, there's a little bit more risk, I guess, in this, in that we don't know for sure what the estimated payouts will be in the future. We looked at the HTTs and we know that's fixed. That's a fixed APR, APY, because we know that at redemption, they're going to be 1-to-1. All right. One HTT will equal one HEX in the future. When we look at the HEX packaged products like DESI and Maxi, I have an estimate, and it's only an estimate. An estimate's going to be wrong, right? But the estimated payout for DESI is 2.35. So for every DESI that you have, you would receive 2.35 HEX. And for Maxi, it's 3.03. But using the same methodology, we can figure out what the estimated ROI is based on swaps today. The fact that it would be 179% ROI for DESI, and you can divide that by the number of years and come up with the estimated APR of 25.78%. And then for Maxi, 172% ROI and 14.76 APR. So those have come down a little bit. People have been narrowing it. Liquidity's tight. It wouldn't take but 2 or 3 big users really to wipe out, any type of discount, quote unquote, here. And that's because if I have Maxi or DESI, why do I want to put it on the market? Why would I sell it? So I'm not going to put it in LP. And because I don't want to take the impermanent loss, right? So people might not be loading them up that way. And plus, by the fact that they do have lower ratios of LP, they move a lot more, right? So you get a little more volatility. But they're alive and well. They're out there. And again, you have to do your own research on these. Taking a look at the extended related tokens, these don't provide necessarily APR. However, Helgo is out there. It's huge, 1.7 million in liquidity with HEX out there, so it's a pretty big market. I know there are people that ratio trade Helgo. You can see that on the chart. The Helgo community is pretty strong and diamond handed and that way. But you have to, it cycles back and forth, but it has been overperforming HEX over the long term. You look at Hedron. Hedron is a reward token that's provided to HEX stakers, whether you're native or HSI. And just seeing it's got a pretty good clip of liquidity. Most pump tires tokens don't have 11K, but again, exactly why people will or will not put an LP could vary, but you can see the discount to HEX and the price in HEX terms and what's available. DESI we already talked about, and then of course COM, another reward token, but this reward token is just for staking. It's just for staking native and not HSIs. From a prepared slide perspective, I think that's kind of where I'm at for what I wanted to show you guys for today. So there are a variety of ways that you can earn yields on HEX and take advantage of these opportunities, or not. But I think we need, as a community, we need to be informed about what's happening out there. No, I didn't throw up things like, obviously, well, I say obviously, but maybe not. There are pools for all of these tokens in other places. There are farms in other places. I haven't kept up with what's happening on 9inch recently, but I know the emit farms have some of these tokens in them. You can earn APR over there. You have another protocol called Oink, Piggy Bank that's out there. You have, the PHUX and the Tide. So there are other places that people are farming and earning reward tokens. So you just have to kind of dig in. But these are the top ones that I'm watching and aware of so far. All right. So let's see if you guys have any questions in the chat, but it looks like there's a variety of ways to earn. Yeah, definitely. You're talking about scooping that DESI, BTFD. I spread my purchase over several days. I believe it was 3% slippage. Yeah, I would recommend to anybody, listen, there are people that are going to do what they're going to do, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want. It's DeFi. But in terms of not getting chopped up too bad when you do want to make a swap, patience is the way to go. With the DEXs, they work off of math, right? And the DEXs use something called the constant product formula. And because they use the constant product formula, what they do is they allocate a little bit of the LP to every tick, every price on the chart. And so that means when you're doing a swap, you don't access all the liquidity all at one time. If it's just a single pair, you don't get to access all of it at one time, and it'll slip the price up or slip the price down depending on the direction that you're going. Now, of course, the bigger the pool, the less the price impact, right? But for instance, you could put a thumb rule in place and never, make sure you never exceed 5% impact, something like that, or 3% impact. But it can be excruciatingly slow, which is why some people don't react. When traders, they don't want to wait. When traders are trading, they decided on a trade idea right now, and hopefully they're taking into account, the price impacts. But they will typically take 10%, of a hit to move, and sometimes unknowingly. And you have to look at the information to really know. The other thing I would say about all this is when you're looking at a particular pool that you want to swap in and out of, take into account the liquidity in the pairs you're actually going to hit. And a good thumb rule, I mean, you can come up with your own based on experience, but a good thumb rule is somewhere in the 1% to 2% of the LP range. And so what does that mean? If it's got $100,000, just to round off a number in LP and USD, a $1,000 to $2,000 trade is usually okay. But you got to go look, right? You just can't just wing it. The other part about that I think that a lot of us mistakenly believe is like these systems are all omnipotent and omni-aware, right? And they're not. They're not, right? So when you go to an aggregator, you can see it pretty clearly. The aggregator doesn't send volume through all pairs at one time. It sends through the best path at that moment for whatever it is you're doing. So quite often you'll get a better deal if you wait 5 minutes between swaps or some other period of time. Now, why do I say that? Well, because if you think of it this way, if there's 10 pools out there, and when you do your swap, and quite often we blame bots for this, but it's not the bots that are doing it, it's us most of the time. You'll do like some sort of a big swap, and you'll see, oh, look, the bots are selling on me, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is, well, I guess technically it's what's happening, but what's happening is that you just change the ratio in the pools that your transaction hit, but all the other pools are at the old ratio. And so sometimes it takes, 4 or 5 minutes for all of the ARB bots to go buy from those pools and sell into the one you just hit. And it looks to us like the bots are just always after us, vampiring us, but you created the arbitrage by pushing the price. And so then the ARB bots will go try to correct everything. And that creates this additional volume through the system. But if you just waited a few minutes and did half as much, you would get more. But then that's why I said a lot of people don't have the patience. You really want to sit there and buy $5, $5. I'm using it like an extreme example, and spend an hour buying. And most people like, no, screw it, I'll take the slippage or the price impact. And then when they do that, they'll take that 5% hit. But if you're doing that on these little things, it'll kill you. So, all right, let's see what else we got out here. I see Frank out here. Pulse Matrix. Yes, hello, future millionaires. I hope so. Yeah, Frank. Or Wank. Learn some coding, set limit orders via. Yeah, you can do all that. Thing is again, all of this is all the stuff requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of knowledge. Even with V3, while there are times when the market's moving pretty fast, and you can do things in V3 like set a position and instantly gets filled. A lot of times it's not like that, particularly if you're looking for a range, right? So it takes time to go through all that. But yes, more education is better. Addie is asking, how can I claim COM from HEX stake? I tried on the website, no success. Please help. Yeah, you really have to go to the Communis app and their help and their the Telegram. Generally, just a general comment about it, because I'm not a part of that project or anything. I'm only a user like everybody else, right? But generally, what I've observed has been connections are a little tricky, between Pulse Chain and changing over to Ethereum, and sometimes it requires a hard reset, to do like a Control F5 or something like that to clear things out. So we'll do that. And then NJ Dub's mentioning, hey, for those who want to learn more about crypto and DeFi, Crypto Coffee has a tutorial video if you need it. And he might have that on Communis. He also has a series of tutorials overall on DeFi. So, and those are available. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's it for today, unless there's any other questions. Again, we're just kind of looking at what kind of availability there is for yields. Again, packaged products as high as 25%, swapping into DESI, assuming you want to wait until the end. You would expect the prices, in terms of HEX, will rise over time as HEX rises as well. We take a look at the LPXs. We saw in the die territory, the EX and the HEX over 20%. Same thing with the for the EX, HEX, EX, EX. So you have those opportunities that are there. Again, the fixed pricing, the fixed returns for the actuator protocol with HTTs listed here. And there could be a whole bunch of reasons people do different stuff, you know. So always watching this. It's been quite interesting to watch people go through and be trading this, you know, even though I'm not doing it on a daily basis. I can see why they would, you know. Why wouldn't you take something that's really expensive and swap it into something cheap, get more units? It's the game. And then finally, our APYs on Quattro Cinco staking being right in that 4 to 5% range. And the reason I'm kind of loose on the 4 to 5% is these are all estimates over time about what we're expecting to see happen based on the calculations. Now, with HEX, it's kind of easy to do that. I mean, tedious, but easy to do. But it does change over time. Like, for instance, I expect the APYs just to float upwards over time for the Quattro Cincos, and that's because of the natural deflation of the T-shares. But I don't think that the OA is going to do anything to change that. I don't think they can change it significantly to make it go down. I think it'll only go up, but I've been surprised before. Maybe there'll be some people that decide they're going to do staking and they've got billions of HEX in their wallets. I don't know. Right. So that could change it. So these are just estimates, and I think you can kind of like benchmark it or, you know, eyeball it at about 5%. That's what I've been calling it. But you want to say 4%? You can say 4%. It's okay. It's okay. All right. With that, my friends, I'm gonna try to exit the stream here and see if T will play. I mean, I failed on the way in getting anything displayed. So let me play this outro. You guys stay crispy. We'll see you next time. Yeah, go check some of this stuff out if you're interested.
Yo, T, urgent HEX buy signal. Charts flaming hot.
Golden ratio, huh? That's how legends stack T-shares.
Get them while they're crispy, folks. This window won't stay open long.
Stake smart. Win big. Time rewards those who act.
Stay crispy, Hexicans.
You gotta move it, move it! Feel the rhythm of the blockchain.